Boomer and Gio coming to you live for the Built Ford Tough studio on the Fan and CBS Sports Network on this Feel Good Friday. The Mets are back at Citi Field today, and so are Gary, Keith, and Ron. Blue Jays, Mets, 3:10 p.m. today. Coverage begins at 1:30 p.m. only on SNY, and now there's only one way to stream the Mets on SNY. That is the MLB app. All the amazing action with an enhanced viewing experience. Download the MLB app today. And joining us right now is one of our favorites, the great Keith Hernandez. And the last time I saw Keith, it was at a catering hall on the North Shore of Long Island for the Suffolk County Sports Hall of Fame induction. And I went up to Keith, and he looked at me and said, "What the hell are you doing here?" And I said, "I'm also getting inducted, Keith." He goes, "Oh, congratulations." Keith, good morning. How are you, man?
I'm very good, thanks. How are you guys?
We're doing great, Keith. Hey, first, let me get this out of the way. I got to tell you, you spoke for all of us on Wednesday when you guys were coming back from break, and you said piss poor hitting, and every single Met fan was saying the same thing. So I just want to say thank you on behalf of all of us that were watching for saying what you said, even though it was accidentally, but it was quintessential Keith Hernandez. You getting a lot of heat for that or no?
No, not really. It was intended for the Marlins. In baseball in general, I know the Mets left the runner on third as well, but Lindor he's not quite right, and surprisingly, Soto had a rare off game at the plate, and he didn't swing the bat well the last two games of the series. Up to that point, he'd been swinging the bat great. But the Marlins, to me, it's just a lost art. I just see it year in, year out, a basic inability to make an adjustment at the plate when the sacrifice fly is in order, particularly when it wins a game late. It's just a pet peeve of mine. I mean, it's the easiest RBI in the world. Get it done.
Yeah, absolutely, and many Met fans screaming the same thing at the television. And during that broadcast as well, you were talking about how Lindor was just a little bit off. You thought Soto was a little bit off with his front shoulder flying out. How could you explain, if you can, the struggles of Francisco Lindor early on in seasons?
Well, from the left side of the plate, he's a little long with his swing. And when you're a little long with your swing, everything has to be right. Your timing has to be, everything has to be as one. And, he gets long, his body gets out in front, and in his arms, it kind of drags. Now, he's not as bad as he was last year. Not even close. Last year, that slump last year he was lost for 2 months. And, gosh almighty, that was something to behold, but he came out of it. So I'm not so concerned. I feel the game that he had after the wife had the baby boy. He had to go up to Orlando, came back down. He made the 2 errors, only the 4th time in his career he made 2 errors in a game. He just wasn't there mentally for that game. I think he going back and forth. They flew in late from Houston. He went right from the airport to Orlando, and then back down. He probably should have taken another day off. So that affected him. It cost the ball game, but. It's a long way to go. They're 3-3 at their first road trip, and they're home now. And the most important thing is that Pete looks to be locked in, and that is critical.
Yeah, it is great to see what Pete Alonso has done. I was telling Gio today that watching Aaron Judge and Pete Alonso this year going tit for tat, and guys are going to get on base in front of him, and he's going to have opportunity after opportunity. He's already given us 2 memorable opportunities, one in Houston, of course, and one in Miami. You got to be happy for him. I know we are, as Met fans, very, very happy for him. He's got everything to play for. If he can have one of those great years, he'll get a new contract, and he'll be totally happy. Maybe he plays with the Mets, maybe he doesn't. But, from the perspective of a homegrown Met, I think we're all really happy to see him come out of the gate the way he looks.
No doubt, and he hopefully will be a Met for a long time. He's, I think, the most prolific power hitter the Mets have ever had. The Mets have had Dave Kingman, who hit, 30 home runs, but Dave never hit for an average. But Pete is something that the Mets just really never had. And Darryl Strawberry is one of those. And I think that Pete has more brute force power than Darryl. but he's critical. And when he hit the 30-plus home runs last year, he drove in 88 runs. Didn't hit in the clutch, but still, around 90% of the players in the major leagues would take the kind of season that he had.
Yeah, expectations are high for him, Keith. You know that. Listen, you're a Gold Glove winner, multiple Gold Glove winner, 10 or 11 seasons, I believe. His defense is pretty good at first base. I don't have a problem with that, but I do have a problem with the Mets, the way that they overall are playing defense. Are you concerned at all about some of the struggles from Beatty and from Vientos? And, of course, you spoke about Lindor, but it doesn't look to be really all that sharp in the field right now.
That was a main concern of mine. I felt that Iglesias was, he played as good a second base as I've ever seen. And he can move him over to third base late in the game and put McNeil at second base. So as of right now, you haven't got Iglesias and you haven't got McNeil. So Beatty at second base, he's not a second baseman. He hasn't played there. He's worked hard at it, but still, it's another thing on his mind instead of being focused on a natural position. But he's a third baseman, and then that's Vientos' spot, or his spot to lose. So defensively on the infield, and it showed in the series in Miami. Beatty made a bad throw home on a routine play. The play down the line with Vientos and our young catcher Singer behind the plate. That was a cluster, you know what, and just one of those brain farts right there that happened. There's certain plays in every sport. In Boomer, you can relate to this. You can do all the chalkboards and all the spring practice, spring training, and for you in the summer. But there's certain plays that come up that aren't scripted, and it just has to come from instinctually from the player, and it just didn't happen. And the Mets were fortunate to get the win in that game.
Boomer and Gio on this Mets opening day 2025 with Keith Hernandez, Gary, Keith, and Ron. The 20th season starts at Citi Field today. Blue Jays Mets 3:10 p.m. with the coverage beginning at 1:30 on SNY, and of course you can stream the Mets on SNY via the MLB app this season. I'm still expecting great things from Mark Vientos at the plate this year. Certainly off to a slow start. In your analysis of his swing and his plate appearances early on, what does he need to do to get back to what we saw late last year?
He's always been a little long in his swing, and when you're long in your swing, timing has to be right. And I think more so, I do believe in a sophomore jinx, and it's all psychological. I think when you're a rookie and there's no expectations, and Vientos wasn't a rookie, but it was a breakthrough year for him when you didn't expect anything from him. And now he has that 27 home runs, and he would have hit over 30 if he'd have played every day. That's, you come into camp and it's expected, and you're in a big part of the lineup. He's hitting behind Pete. And if you get off to a slow start, there's nothing worse than that first week, 10 days of a season. You look up on the board when you're young, and you see 170, 158, and you go, oh, God, you want to dig a hole. It doesn't. If it happens when you're a veteran and it's so much easier to take because you're going to come out of it. But I think that he's pressing. He's a little long. He's getting jammed, much like what happened to Pete last year. He's getting jammed on the fastball and that's running in on his hands, and he is chasing that slider. And they made some good pitches on him, I will say that. But the fact that when you're long, you have to start sooner, and that's always the optical illusion from a hitter's eye. If I'm looking at the pitcher, and I feel slow at the plate, you feel like you have to start sooner, and that is the worst thing you can do. You have to stay with what you do, and it's just a matter of timing and take your extra BP, and then one day it'll come. And why it comes, I can never say. Why you break out of a slump, why you go into a slump, I can't say. But you know what? he's got one for 19, whatever. He has a 3-hit day, and boom, that average gets way up there in respectability. And that's the beauty of when you're playing in April. They really don't. You don't really level out on your batting average until you get around 300 at bats.
Boomer and Gio with Keith Hernandez. There are a couple of things I want to address with you here, though. That just one thing that Al Dukes wants to hear about, and another thing that we saw on X. So you had the Haji UFO shirt or hoodie on when you were out at the American Hotel. And
yes, what is that all about?
And you posted this picture. So and you said Haji was always afraid of the UFOs. So how much fact is in there as opposed to humor?
That is humor. I saw that sweatshirt hoodie online, and my daughter loves cats too. My youngest daughter, Mary. So I got one for her too. So it's just in honor of Haji, who I miss very much. But he was a little skittish around UFOs.
We were hoping that you saw something out there in Sag Harbor on like a quiet night. You're looking up at the stars. That's what we were hoping for because we've talked a lot of UFOs here on the show. And the other thing is, are you aware of the butt tweet or the butt post on X where it was a video of a woman on television, which seems to be a see-through shirt, and you by accidentally replied to that post with...
Yes, I saw that, and it had a prompt for a video, an arrow. So I thought she was a weather girl, a weather woman.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to see it. And evidently I pressed some keys. And there was nothing, wrong about it other than she was painted into her outfit. And my curiosity was piqued, but I must have hit a couple keyboards, and I don't know what the heck happened, and I don't know how it got posted. So
I just
thank God I didn't. Thank God I didn't type what I really had on my mind.
Well, we were trying to figure out what HVB chunk means. I'm not really sure what that means. You be chunking something? What are you doing?
God. Listen,
that's covert. That's like covert activity.
I tell you, if the Mets go on to win the World Series this year, there will be BBHVB Chunks T-shirts all over Citi Field, like OMG was last year. So far, so good with the rotation. Seems similar to the beginning of, or at least last year, where we had lower expectations for the rotation. What's it going to take for this one in 2025 to have the sustainability that last year's did?
I think the team will hit when it gets healthy. Health is always everything. It's important. The bullpen's been good, and I think that the surprise might be Brazoban, who is no spring chicken and still has a great arm. And when he was with the Marlins, always threw changeup. And I had dinner with Jeremy Hefner in spring, and Jeremy said he's been a guy that doesn't speak great English. He's kind of with that Marlins. He was like the 13th pitcher. No one paid any attention to him. And he goes, he's got a good arm. He just needs someone to pump him up. So what was impressive of his save was that I think he threw 7 pitches, 6 were fastballs, and that's never been him. It would have been 4 changeups and 2 fastballs. He went right after the hitters, protecting that lead in that save situation, and that was impressive. And threw strikes in a high pressure situation, and his first save of his career. I just feel that Garrett, as well as Buto, I just sense, and you tend to forget when you're young and you're trying. When they're not really young. I mean, I was young. I was 20, 21, 22. That's young to be in the big leagues. These guys are 25, 26, 27, but still, their life dream is there, and there's all that anxiety of proving yourself, and the ups and downs. And I just feel this year that Garrett and Budo feel so much comfortable out there and so comfortable in their clothes that they belong, and I think it's really going to help their performance. I think that it's about becoming a professional. You know you belong. I'm a big leaguer. Hey, I am not some plebe coming up anymore. I am a peer. I'm amongst my peers. That's a huge psychological advancement, and I think that they're there. And I think the bullpen's going to hold tight.
Hey, would you think that this pitching lab is a direct result of some of this initial success over the last couple of years, and how they're using it?
I think it can't hurt. Like Frank Robinson told me once. He said, "I don't care what they got." He goes, "The bottom line is, once it leaves their hand, I'm in control, and they got to throw it over the plate." I just think that baseball has expanded too many teams, and as a result, I mean, if you really look at it, there's probably around 20 out of the 30 teams that really don't have a chance to get to the World Series, and that to me is a problem. And I don't know how they're going to address it. There's just not enough talent to go around. Excuse me, but I wish I could get in the box and hit. I mean, I see. Okay, they get the ball to move and sink. They get the ball, they cut the ball. I never minded a ball that sank from a right-hander that was throwing it away, and the off-speed pitch was a pitch I liked to hit, and the pitch I didn't like was a cutter in my hands. Well, I learned to lay off that pitch, or when it was late in the game and they needed an out and I could hurt them, I would look in for a strike. Look for that. That's where they're going to go after you, where they feel that your weakness is. And I would look in for that pitch and have a rip at it for one strike. And a lot of times I was one pitch out of the box, and then they would be shaking their head. What the hell's going on? Well, I'm not stupid up here. I got an idea what I want to do. So I just don't. I see a lot of guys just swinging at bad pitches, and the sweeper it's been around forever. It is a very effective pitch from a righty to a righty, a lefty to a lefty, a sidearm. It kind of whirly birds in and it breaks. It breaks flat, but it kind of looks like it slows down in velocity as it's coming home, and it gets you out in front. It's really, really a tough pitch. I think that's a splendid addition to a pitcher's repertoire. As far as Senga was concerned, he looked great. His splitter, but they helped him out. All those young hitters couldn't lay off, and they kept swinging at it bad. And the thing about Senga is he threw hard too. That's what impressed me the most, because that sets up the off-speed splitter. But when that splitter comes out of the hand, it's an off-speed pitch, and that is his only off-speed pitch. So as a hitter, you should be able to recognize, okay, it's an off-speed pitch. It is his ghost fork. What does it do? It drops. It sinks. So have an idea where it starts. If it starts mid-thigh, it's going to be a strike. Anything below mid-thigh, it's going to be the bait pitch he throws in the dirt. Now, easier said than done.
Yeah, you got about half a second to make that decision.
It seems more when you're up at the plate. It does seem like more, but you're right. And not everybody can do it. That's the thing. So, when Suter had 3 speeds, that's all he threw. When Bruce came in and introduced that pitch and got him in the Hall of Fame, he had it in 3 speeds. And the slower he threw it, the more it broke. He could make it break down and into a right-hander and down and away to a right-hander. And he threw a slow speed, got more break, could throw it more for a strike. And if he got ahead, he'd throw it harder and harder, and it would throw it in the dirt, and it was tough to lay off. The fact that he had 3 speeds with that pitch made it tough. A lot of guys just have 1 speed, and so the guys that are real wicked, like I've been dating myself, Scott Garrelts for the Giants threw bullets. And he had a splitter that he threw like 90 miles an hour. Plus he threw around 95. And he was tough. He was not a day in the park. I'm kind of going off on tangents here, but getting back to your point, the bullpen I'm really, really, really happy with, and we'll see what McGill does today.
Hey, before you go, Keith, what's your take on the hoopla about the torpedo bats?
I don't have an issue with it. I thought in the beginning, when you listened to Michael Kay, that they were bringing the barrel down to the label. And that, to me, was wrong, because now you're creating more hitting surfaces. Well, how is a pitcher going to get into your hands? And that's the name of the game, getting inside and beating you in. And then now you got the labels, got the barrel. They go, how in the hell the pitcher's really got to get in there? Can't make a mistake. But they just took from the very top of the bat and moved it a little further down and ballooned it a little bit. You remember Rusty, the bat that he used when he pinch hit? He used a little 34-inch bat with that big old barrel, and he had quite good success with it. It's all within the standards and the specs, and so I just don't have a one issue with it at all. And it's gonna, if it helps hitters, fine. If it doesn't, we'll see in the long run.
So now, what time do you have to leave Sag Harbor to get to Citi Field today?
Well, it's an hour-and-a-half drive, and because it's opening day,
yeah,
I know, and it's 3:00. I got to get there before 12 noon. So the cops start putting up barriers, and then you got to get out of the car and go, I need to get through.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, just show them your face, you'll get through. That's as Karl Malone once told us, that's his ticket. That's his ticket in life, is your face.
I have a police family badge from the.
No. Let's not talk about that again. Let's just get there safely, arrive on time, and tell Ronnie and that we said hello. And I'll be watching today, and I'll be texting you guys if I see something screwed up. All right.
All right, I'll just flash my badge.
All right.
All right. See you, Keith. The great Keith Hernandez you will watch on SNY today. Gary, Keith, and Ron. Mets Blue Jays opening day at Citi Field. Coverage starts at 1:30 with a 3:10 first pitch.
Man, he loves going down memory road, man.
Oh, yeah. No, I know.
He does it on the broadcast, too, especially when the games are out of whack.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Well, he was dead honest about the BBHVB chunk. Dead honest. He goes, well, thank goodness I didn't put out there what was really on my mind. That was great.
We should call him B-Chunk from now on.
B-Chunk.
Yes.
Boomer and Gio coming to you live from the Built Ford Tough Studio.